live.
Oh man, well, what a wonderful treat we have this evening with us. We have Mr. Leroy Keys, who's a very, very, very strong, prominent figure from the Hampton Roads area, which they call the 757 area, which when Mr. Keys and us were there 804, but now 704. It was 804.
Good memory. Good memory.
Right. But we'll take it from there. Mr. Keys, I mean, obviously, I don't know. I can start wherever, but I will start mostly from the Hampton Roads area. Can you give folks a little bit of background of your history in the Newport News and Hampton area? Like, where'd you go to middle school, high school, things of that nature? Give us a little background on it.
Okay, Carl. Everything was kind of condensed. When I say condensed, the elementary school served as the middle school up until grade 7. George Washington Carver Elementary School, which was, I want to say, a jump across the canal from home, because I lived in a little town called North Newport News, and however it got its name, don't hold me to it. But we walked to school every day, no busing. George Washington Carver High School was the feeder school for the elementary school. So once you graduated from Carver Elementary, you went to George Washington Carver High School. And in the 9th grade, I guess I turned some heads or something during my tenure in the area. I tried out for the varsity basketball team as an 8th grader. And Coach Travis told me, if you play in 8th grade, you won't be able to play as a senior. And so I had to back down, but they gave me the Converse sneakers that came with the package. But no, I come from a long list of great individuals who came out of North Newport News. I had so many role models that they weren't going to let me go astray. I look at Clifton Burson, I look at Floyd Hughes, I look at Walter Saunders, my cousin Bernard Moeller, my uncle. It were guys in the community who just said, and they used my nickname more than my name, Leroy or Marvin. I was Nursey Keys back in the day. Nobody ever called me Marvin or Leroy. It's Nursey Keys. And so it stuck with me through elementary, with me through high school. Once I got in high school, though, I found out that the level of intensity was greater. But just growing up in North Newport News in itself was a treat. We felt, I want to use the term, I guess, segregation all around us, because we walked to school and the white kids who lived right on Wilcox Lane, which was adjacent to both the high school and the elementary, were bused out to predominantly white schools. So I guess one of the hardest things for me was how I had to adapt once I got out here to West Lafayette, Indiana, and we'll talk about that as we go through this evening. But just living in North Newport News was a royal treat, because you had this, I want to call it the south side of Jefferson Avenue or the west side of Jefferson Avenue or the east. And they had some good little athletes over there. Mainly, I had a good friend named Tyrone Gordon. We just called him T. Gordon. He lost an arm in a childhood accident. But by and far and away, I just consider him to be the best athlete I had ever seen. And if he had 2 arms, no telling what he would have done. But we had a lot of competition. It was a great rivalry. If there was a vacant lot anywhere around, we found a way to make it out of the football field. We find a dust bowl and throw up a basket. We play basketball from sunup to sunset. Baseball was the same way. For Christmas, as a neighborhood, we designated what was going to be the Christmas gift for that year. We decided if it's baseball gloves, everybody got a baseball glove. If everybody decided it's basketball, we all got basketball. So we would never run out. If somebody had to go home early, we knew there was one sitting on the sideline ready to enter the game. So North Newport News was my growing up, learning. It was my baptismal to education. It was my baptismal to just doing the right thing, but also I knew there was a lot of people in that town who loved respected, and yet they honored you by saying, you're going to go somewhere one day, and we want to be a part of your history. And so I had guys who, whatever I needed, they tried to provide it for me. They didn't have to be first of kin, aunts and uncles. They were just people who lived in North Newport News. They said, Leroy, don't worry about that. I got this. You don't have to worry about anything, because I was trying to be the type of person that they could say, this young man is mannerly. He listens. He's willing to pay the price, make the sacrifices, but yet he has the respect of all his peers in the neighborhood. Because I can name almost the whole litany of young people I grew up with, whether we were shooting horseshoes, playing marbles, you name the game, swimming in the canal, jumping the canal. The sports were already there. Ping pong was a part of my game. Shooting pool, going to the pool hall underage. But when you're bigger than everybody else, they give you a pass. I was much bigger than the rest of my counterparts, so they always thought I was older than I truly was, and it helped. It helped that all of my teachers in George Washington Carver Elementary saw something in me. I was conducting the PT test, or what we call it physical training at that time. And they said, we don't have to go outside. We're going to let Leroy run the PT test for everybody else in the school. And I thought that was an accomplishment that I didn't take lightly. I wanted everybody to do well, and I wanted them to know that they could trust me to take charge if they weren't out on the playgrounds themselves. So, but North Newport News was my beginning. George Washington Carver High School became I would call that my middle success story, because it didn't have to be, but I had so much competition. Oh my God. When I think about Rufus Swedenberg and Donald Futrell, I think about Marvin Brandon, I think about Lionel Young, Larry Vaughn, my cousin James Guthrie, guys who pushed Nursey. Sometimes I thought I had too much going on up here. They say, don't get the big head. We know how to bring you down. And, but the older guys would be the ones who would set me down and say, let's have a set two. We got to talk. Because that junk you talking ain't going to get you nowhere. And, but we had some great, fantastic instructors throughout my career. Once I got in high school, Mr. Jewel Jackson, Mr. Willie Travis, Mr. Lord Easton, Mr. Homer Hines, our principal, they made sure that each and every student in that school was respected, but we respected them more because they weren't people that we saw occasionally. They were people we saw every day. And even when we left school, we would see them in the community because some of them actually lived in the community that we lived in. Mm-hmm. So that added another spice of enjoyment to it, that you could leave school and still see the person who taught you that day. And if you had any questions or any concerns, they were not standoffish. You had a vehicle that you could go and sit on their porch, sit on their back porch, front porch, on the deck, and talk about what's going on in your life. And I think that was something that I might have taken for granted originally, but just to know that someone in your neighborhood always has time for you and gave you a listening ear, you couldn't beat it. And so that was 4 fantastic years. I mean, 5 years really, from 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th grade. So 5 years in Carver High School was magnificent. I loved every second of it. I would do it all over again if I could, but at this old age of 73, I don't think I'm gonna go back and try to get back into middle school now that it's named after one of the greatest counselors that I've ever known, Flora Crittenden. Mm-hmm. She's a mentor personified. She just loved working with young people. And I happen to have the good fortune of being one of her favorites. And to this day, I owe so much to Miss Crittenden because I knew she was always in my corner. So that was high school. And then when I had a chance to decide where I was going to go to college, I had my uncle Arthur A. Keys, who was the maestro in North Newport News. Everybody knew Arthur A. Keys, Arthur Andrew. And he went to North Carolina A&T. And not having a broad range of experience traveling outside of the Tidewater area. I mean, when we got on the ferry to go over to Northampton County or Accomack, I thought we were going to another planet. But you know, you knew that when you in high school, you're gonna play Booker T, you're gonna play IC Norcom, you're gonna play East Suffolk and Crestwood on the other side of the river, Huntington, Phoenix, and Bruton Heights on our side of the peninsula. But as I look back now at what she did and how she explained everything to us and made everything so simplistic, I just said to myself, I said, wait a minute, I'm in the best situation in the world. I'm an athlete, a student athlete first, because we had to maintain the academics. But I just thank God to a certain degree, going to Purdue instead of North Carolina A&T. Miss Marie Holland was my English teacher. And I had her for homeroom also, my senior year. And I told her I was going to go to North Carolina A&T, and she looked at me and said, are you crazy? And so she made all the guys on the football team who happened to be in her homeroom stand up in front of the classroom, and she said, okay. She had each one step forward and said, where you plan on going to school? What you plan on doing after you graduate? And some had no idea. And so when I stepped forward, I said, I'm going to North Carolina A&T. And she looked at me and she said, okay, everybody else sit down. And she said, Leroy, you stay up here for a while. And I stood up there by myself. And she said, you said you're going to go where? North Carolina A&T? Why? I said, well, Miss Holland, they got Bennett College across the street. It's all girls school. and I like this. I like that. I mean, all girls, and I'm going to A&T. And a good friend of my uncle name was Mr. Green. He was the recruiter for North Carolina A&T. And when I told my uncle I was thinking about going to A&T, he was all excited. But Miss Holland said, let me tell you something. If you even think about going to North Carolina A&T over Purdue University, I'll flunk you. And I stood up there and said, Miss Holland, you can't do that. You can't flunk me. I got the grades to go on wherever I want to go. She said, you're not reading my lips right. I will flunk you. I will give you an F. You'll repeat 12th grade again, because somebody got to hit you upside your head to get your attention. North Carolina A&T can't give you half of what Purdue University can give you. And I sat there and I started crying because I really want to go to North Carolina A&T. But she said, no, that's not going to happen, not on my watch. I didn't know that this individual had that much love and respect for not only me as a person, but also as me as a student athlete who, coming out of the Tidewater area, she felt like if anybody can make it out of here, you can do it. They had that much confidence in me, and she said, I'm not going to let you waste it down at an HBCU school. You're going to be I wasn't the first, because Earl Faison came out of Huntington, went to Indiana University. Benny McCrae came out of Huntington. I think he either went to Illinois or Michigan. I forget which one, but I know he was also another one from Huntington. And Daniel Grimes, who played at Carver, went to Michigan. And so she said, but you're going to be the first one from George Washington Carver High School to go into the Big Ten and make them notice that it's some talent here on the Tidewater, on the peninsula area. And to know that people felt that strongly about you. And I just said, well, if she's that domineering and she's that affectionate, don't disappoint Miss Holland. So when Jack Mollenkoff and the coaching staff from Purdue came down, and they never saw me play football, I didn't know we were taping the game, but a guy named Vernon Miller came down from Portsmouth, who was living in Portsmouth, Virginia, but he had been hired by Purdue to follow the previous year. And he came down sight unseen and came to a basketball game. And we were playing some team. I think we were playing Crestwood. And when we came into the gymnasium, all the players on both teams, because you know, figure you got all black kids playing. We never seen a white person in our gymnasium ever. And we all stopped. We all just kind of looked up in the stands and saw this one white face in the stands. We said, wait, this man must be lost. Because, you know, we'd never seen that. And so we went on to play the game. And the next day, Bernie Miller went to every high school that I played against. And he asked all of the coaches, do you think this kid Keys is capable of playing in the Big Ten? And not knowing that coaches observe you, your mannerisms, your whatever you do on the field, they said, if he can't play, we don't have anybody in the Eastern District that can go to Purdue. So they kind of gave me a big pat on the back to say, this kid is that good. You're not wasting a pick on this guy. This guy can play. And if you take him, you'll be satisfied. And I didn't know they said this. And so when I got to Purdue, I said, okay, I'll come to Purdue. I met a lot of the other good brothers out there, and we bonded. And the rest, I'm going to use the term, the rest is history. Because it seemed like everything I did out here was not built on superiority or how great I thought I was or how great I felt I was, but my teammates knew that I ran my mouth a lot, but I had the ability to back it up. And I think when I go back to Carver High School, I think about Vernon, your dad, and I think about the whole football team I played with, David Taylor, you name the guys I played with back in the day, Donald Futrell and all those guys on the state championship team. They all said, Nursey's a little different than everybody else. He comes from a different ilk. And I just enjoyed it. And then when they start coining the phrase, give the ball to Leroy, and some of the fans say, I don't know why coach messing around giving the ball to Perry and anybody else. Just get the ball to Leroy. He'll get us 10. He'll get a touchdown. He'll throw a touchdown pass. He'll do something that had electrified the stadium. And I enjoyed that role immensely. And after leaving Purdue and being mentioned for the Heisman Trophy twice in my career, being on the All-American teams, a consistent All-American, being inducted into the Hall of Fame, I always look back at my history and say it really was about great teammates. I was fortunate enough to have great high school coaches, and Mr. Travis in basketball, Walter Lovett, and Warren Coleman in football, Shorty Jack in track. And when I got out to Purdue, Coach Mollenkoff and the entire coaching staff, they all had my back. Then when I got to the NFL, I always found out that the NFL was no fun league. That's what I coined it, the no fun league, NFL. It was all business, and you had to understand what it was. And I appreciated the fact that they let me grow in the NFL. I was fortunate enough to have 4 years with the Philadelphia Eagles and 1 year in Kansas City with the Chiefs under Hank Stram. And I enjoyed that whole run, but it was over a little faster than I had expected. I snapped my Achilles tendon twice in my right foot. And so the Eagles figured like they were giving me so much money. And I laughed today when they talk about money and what the rookies and everybody's getting today. I said, Lord, I sometimes I look up at heaven and say, Mom, if you had been younger, maybe I'd have been younger. I'd been getting some of that big payday. But it was another one of those tests of times where you had to figure out what is life all about and how do we adapt when the cheering stops? Because eventually it will stop.
Right.
And I learned that you can't live on what you used to do. You now got to live on what can you do now. Now is the moment. And after I left Kansas City, I came back to Philadelphia. I had a home in New Jersey. And one day I was feeling sorry for myself. You know, one of them low down, why did this happen to me? I don't understand why I'm still out in the league. Here I am, 26 years of age, and I'm out of a job. And so I said, and I went into what I call my closet, way before a lot of people would their spiritual room. And I said in my closet, I said, Lord, I said, we got to have a conversation here. Because I know you didn't bring me this far. You didn't give me all this skills, all this mouths, all of this, whatever I have, whatever you gave me, just sit at home and not do anything with it. And I heard the voice tell me, I got you. I got that. Don't worry about it. I got that. And I'm like, oh, okay, you got that? You got that. And so I ended up in education in Philadelphia for about 19 years. I enjoyed what I did with the school district of Philadelphia. And then one day I was just sitting in my office out of the blue. I get a call from Morgan Burke, who was AD out here at Purdue at the time, asking me if I want to come back out to Purdue and coach the running backs. I said, coach the running backs? I said, sure. So I did sort of like the, what's the guy, the old Jeb, who shot into the tree and struck oil and headed out to California. I said, I'm going back out here and coach a place that I'm well respected at. A lot of the people know me well. So I came out here and I coached for 3 years, and then I became a part of the John Purdue Club for 11. And I retired in 2011. And I've enjoyed every second of my retirement. I still do things for the university. I travel on behalf of the university. And, but right now, because of this corona and COVID-19, I'm not doing as much travel as I would like. But the bottom line is I'm adapting to being in what we call the over 70 club now. Once upon a time, if I get to the Devil Nickels, I'll be okay. Now I've gotten over here to the 70 club, and it's a great feeling today knowing that I can still go out and talk to people in the community, go places. I just got back a few minutes ago from a rally that they had down in Indianapolis for the George Floyd. I Can't Breathe. And I guess everybody said, why would this 70-year-old man run the risk of being in this crowd? I said, I serve an awesome God. He knows where I'm at. If he wants me, he can find me at the parade, he can find me sitting in his house if he wants me. But the bottom line is, I just say, look, every now and then we got to step outside of our own comfort zone and do something that's going to be beneficial to those who are coming behind us, because the battle is still on. We haven't won anything yet. And as I keep looking at it, if we keep sitting on the bench, we can never get into the game. It's time for us as Black men in America to get into the game. Our women have stepped up their role. They've taken a position of empowerment, and we're sitting around wondering, what am I going to do? Yeah. Let our voices be heard. Not because we want to displace our women, but because we haven't been heard. That's Martin did his thing. Jesse did his thing. President Obama did his thing. And all of us who have kids are sitting at home on the bench saying, I don't know. No, I'm going to get out here and try to be a difference maker before the good Lord calls me home. And that's in a capsule or in a nutshell, the road that I've traveled over the last 50 years.
Well, there's some amazing timeline. And actually, I was at a march this morning here in DC. Okay. Very much with our church and a partnership with NAACP. But there's a couple of things that you mentioned. And again, I have to say it, and especially for those that are watching, my father talked about you when it came to the game of football and being an athlete constantly. Like when Ronald Curry came around later and Allen Iverson, you know, my dad and others that went to Carver and guys and coaches that had been around, they were like, yeah, but if you didn't see Nursey, I mean, Ron's good and Bubba. I'm just sharing with you. That's, you know, my dad and some of the guys from you know, the area spoke about you quite highly from that standpoint.
Well, when you have, you know, it's a funny thing. You just don't understand, and sometimes it takes getting on your knees to fully understand. When I look back at my first venture down into Newsom Park was like going to New York City from North Newport News. And you knew everybody because you went to the same high school, because those students who didn't go to Huntington all went to Carver. And you get down and you start playing baseball. You're practicing football because we had great leadership with Donald Futrell, his brother Dee, his brother John. I look at Marvin Brandon, Lionel Young, all the guys that I played with, Zeke Brown. We call him William Brown, but I call him Zeke because he lived up in North Newfoundland. The Bullock family, Earl and John Bullock, Melvin Harris, Eric McCaskill, all the guys from Huntington that we played against. When I think about your dad and I think about the young guys who were behind us, I used to always say, look, we got to lay out a map for these guys, but we got to map it out so clearly that they don't have to worry about getting ambushed. We have to, if we don't serve as role models to these guys, then they can't be role models for the class behind them. And they were our breadwinners, because I felt like as long as there was a George Washington Carver High School, every class was going to take the class behind them and pull them along. And that's where I looked at life now, that we kind of dropped the baton for a minute and forgot about those young men who might not see you on a daily basis. But I talk to Eric McCaskill almost once, twice a week. I get text messages from Andy Clary or Anderson Clary. Pooh Johnson over at the Hampton Road Boys Club. Walter Bowser.
Yeah.
We were the guys who the young folks were looking up to and saying, oh man, Carver and Huntington gonna bang tonight. Or Huntington and Carver gonna hook up on a Friday night for a Friday night football game. You can't even begin to imagine the impact that what you are doing has on these younger generation kids coming behind you. John Bullock came to Purdue because he said, hey, Nursey went there. Melvin Harris was a track runner. He went to Purdue. Donnie Green played over at Crestwood High School. He came to Purdue. Eric McCaskill came to Purdue. We had a line of guys who came out of Newport News, Carver and Huntington, that came to Purdue. But you can't go around being Mr. McGruff. And your dad and Dee Dee and Paul Macklin and those guys, they bought in. And I was so happy to see that these younger guys had successful lives. No, it's success looked at as you're not a movie star, you're not making $3 trillion a year. No, they raised families. They took care of their families. They loved their families. Mm-hmm. And to me, that was the success point that I looked at. It was my barometer. I would say in honesty, I could have and I should have come home more often. But for some reason, it was so much that I was doing out here in West Lafayette that if I left here for a week and a half, I thought the mayor may send the state trooper and say, fine Leroy. But in all earnest, I always thought that the 757 would just continue to be strong. I was a very strong advocate for Eric Hunter before his demise.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And I would tell everybody out here today that he should be in the cradle of quarterbacks at Purdue University. He deserved it. He's probably been the only African-American quarterback in that club. His credentials spoke that he would be in it. But for some reason, we're still dropping the ball on that situation. I have not closed that case yet because I'm still going to get him in it if the good Lord continues to guide me and keep me strong enough that I can talk to the administration at Purdue. Eric Hunter is going to get his day in court, but although he's already in heaven now, but I want to make sure that Eric Hunter's name just doesn't dribble out of West Lafayette as a bad kid. Eric Hunter has skills. He had skills that were immense. And but when I think about Ronald Carey and AI and Lawrence Taylor and Kenny Easley and all the guys who I've read about, heard about, I still say back in the day when I looked at Pop Pitts, I looked at William Franklin or Norfolk Booker T. I looked at Johnny Morris over at Norcom. Joe Steptoe at Crestwood, the Ben Hunter up at Bruton Heights. It was some athletes, guys who could play the game. There were coaches who could host the game. They understood how to sit down and make boys men. And that was awesome as a young man coming up in the 60s, 70s. When they first told me that the young man Armstead was the first one to go for the Newport News High School, I almost cried. I said, oh my God, a Black kid go to Newport News High School? Especially when we knew on a daily basis, we heard so much about Chris Keller and all the white boys go up at Newport News High School wanted to challenge Carver High School to a summer league game. I said, these guys don't want to play us.
They didn't want none.
They didn't want to play us. This must be show and tell time. But we would go over there one night and play them, and we showed them. I mean, when you had Otis Henderson, Bernard Green, Charles Capehart, myself, who else we had? Oh God, we had a dynamite team. We went over there and we put shackles on them boys like, You may be after 14 points a game, but tonight when you walk off the court, you're gonna be glad you get 2. We ran them out of the old gym. Because you go over Dory Miller once basketball season over, Dory Miller was our hunting ground, or hunting ground. Our ground where everybody got together. The guys from Huntington, the guys from Phoenix, Carver, you bring your best 5 in and let's throw down. So Newport News, Hampton was unique, totally unique. It was almost like a lost civilization that had so much talent in it. It was a gold mine. And eventually, once they integrated the schools, UVA recognized it, Virginia Tech recognized it. Everybody now want to say, okay, you don't have to come out of Richmond, out of Magawalk and Armstrong. Down there in that little teeny area of the peninsula, the Tidewater area, there's some talented Black young men who not only played the game, but they understood the game, they appreciated the game, and they gave their all for their alma mater. And I can say that I will always be a Trojan till the day I die. And I know Eric McCaskill feels the same way about being a Viking, but there was nothing like the rivalry between Carver and Huntington back in the day. And but I'm gonna give Eric his little kudo. I was glad to see him come out here and still run them hurdles, and Ray Pollard run the 100-yard dash. And it was a great time to be born in Newport News in the Hampton Road area.
Nick, you hit on something, and because there's a lot of younger viewers that are watching and will be watching this and don't necessarily fully understand. In the 60s, Carver, Huntington, you didn't play any schools. I mean, these are all Black, and I want to make sure our audience understands that you didn't play any white schools, or
no,
at all. I want to make sure people understand that this was before integration, that the Carver, the Huntington, because the battles I've heard between Carver and Huntington were monumental, but I wanted to make sure people understand that, because you just mentioned about Hampton Newport News High School, but that you guys did not play against white schools or white teams.
No, not at all. And did we miss them? No. I think in being honest as I can be without sounding brigadiego, they didn't want to play against us. I mean, we were domineering. I mean, we would have loved to have the schools integrated, because we go back to Brown versus Brown, and we look at all the other issues that happened along the way, getting us the voters' rights. But I was on a state championship team that had so much talent on it. The only spot they could find for me was to be a punter. And I was like, wow, this team is loaded with talent. But yet we never played. We never had a white official with his zebra stripes on calling a game for us. It was unheard of, but through it all, I think we knew the basketball court was the same width, same length. We knew the football field was going to be marked the same way. Short story real quick. I hope y'all got time for this one.
We take it back.
When I first got out here, we were practicing one night in what we call the Apple Orchard. And Bob Greasy was our All-American quarterback from Evansville, Indiana. And so we're out standing on the sideline, and Greasy is he kicked extra points, and he did a kicking off. And so I'm standing on the sideline, and his ball was going back to the 15-yard line. I said, wow. I said, is that the best he can do? And so quite naturally, all my teammates were looking at me like, oh, shucks, here we go again. Keys got another story. I said, man, if that's the best he can do, I can do that with my regular running shoes on, and he got a block-toe shoe on, and it's only kicking the ball to the 15-yard line. And so I kept running my mouth. Eventually, one of the special team coaches heard me and said, y'all can delete this. He said, damn it, Keys, I'm tired of you running your mouth. You think you can do better? I said, Coach, I'm going to kick it. If you let me do it, I'm going to kick it through the uprights. Ain't nobody returning this ball. And so Jack is standing on the field, Jack Mollenkoff, the head coach. And I guess he overheard the conversation that I'm having with the special team coach. And he said, okay. He never called me Leroy. I was always Leroy. And he said, okay, Leroy, you kick with the second unit then. I said, okay, coach. So we go out on the field, the second unit, and all the players, all the skeptical players, and this included all the brothers on the team. Because all the brothers said, Keys, all you do is run your mouth. I said, but every time I run my mouth, I do what I say I'm going to do. When I run a pass route, you guys not going to stop me. If I touch the ball, you're not going to tackle me. It's simple as that. You guys just don't have the skill. And I was just rubbing it in with all the upperclassmen. I don't care who they were. Freshmen, upperclassmen, didn't make any difference. And so we get lined up. And I tell the guys, I said, look, guys, unless y'all want to impress the coach as to how fast you can get down the field, I'm kicking this ball through the uprights out of the back of the end zone. They all like, yeah, here you go again, running your mouth. I put the ball on the tee, move back, kick the ball through the uprights, no return. Now everybody's looking at me like, oh, that was luck. You got lucky that time. I said, I got lucky and kicked the ball out the back of the end zone through the uprights of the field. That's lucky. Okay, we'll do it again on this next time we go down. Did it 3 times in a row. Mollenkoff rubbing his chin and said, this boy is a freshman. Greasy is my All-American. This kid is the fastest kid on the kickoff team. If he kicks the ball that well and actually in a game, I can save Greasy's arm, legs, and I don't have to worry about somebody blindsiding him on a kickoff. So, Keith, you're going to kick off. So I inherited the job of being the kickoff guy at Purdue in my sophomore year, and that's when they start shaking the keys in the stands, Keys kicking off. And they're still doing that 50 years later. And everybody don't understand, why do people shake the keys in the stand? They said, you had to be here in 66, 67, 68 to really appreciate it. But after I got a little notoriety, they said, well, we don't want you to get blown up either. So they took me off of the kickoff team my senior year, which I appreciated. But through it all, adapting to all white coaching staff, coming out of an all black environment, the coaching staff was the tricky part. The tricky part in college was always, how did you get along with your professors in class and your classmates? Because they didn't know what to expect from us, and neither did I know what to expect from them. So I would normally be in a classroom and I just tell everybody, look, first of all, I'm a student. I want to get an education. I want to graduate from Purdue University. That's my #1 goal. Football is something that I love doing. I'm not going to let y'all keep me from doing what I love. So we're going to find a way to come to some kind of mutual agreement. If I'm walking on campus, if you want to speak to me, you want to call me, hey, you, there he is, he's the one. Y'all can find any kind of descriptive you want, but you can't call me nigga. You can't call me anything outside of my name, because if you do, you got to deal with me. It's simple as that. I'm willing to let the police come over and do what they have to do, whatever they had to do, but I was not going to acquiesce or kowtow down to their way of life. I'm going to do the best I can to try to indoctrinate you guys to understand that this campus has enough ground space for all of us to survive out here. I go to class, you go to class. I sit in my seat, don't try to sit in my lap, don't try to sit in my seat. Don't spit on me, I won't spit on you. And I think after my sophomore year, they realized that this guy is really for real. He doesn't take anything. And the professors kind of understood that I was going to always be the guy that they had to say, you can't bully him. And I was not looking to be bullied, or I wasn't looking to bully anyone. I just wanted to be left alone to do what I had to do in the classroom. And then when I got on the football field, that's where I took out my aggression, not against my teammates, but against the opposing team. I said, today, I'm gonna be your worst nightmare. And when y'all get back on y'all plane or your train or your bus back to your campus, all you're gonna see is pictures of, boy, that number 20 was a pain in the butt for 4 quarters. And once that happened, then the whole community started accepting not only Leroy, but they started accepting all the black ball players. Because in my 3 years of varsity ball, we made up almost 90% of the team, except for a quarterback. Other than that, Perry Williams was the starting fullback. I was the starting tailback. Jimmy Kirkpatrick came in. Marion Griffin, Clan King. So it was a revelation that a lot of these kids had gone to predominantly or had gone to integrated schools. And I'm not gonna call it a misfortune, because to this day, I got the best training ground known to mankind at George Washington Carver High School. I can't say what happened at Huntington. I can't say what happened at Phoenix. But I know when I talked to Eric McCaskill, I talked to Walt Bowser, I talked to Leon Stokes, guys I played against in high school or in my age bracket, they said I would not give up anything for that opportunity I had to be in those classrooms with those brilliant, intelligent, smart African-American teachers or instructors. It was fantastic. Fantastic. I loved every second of it.
Well, Mr. Keys, I had a question because I get the best of both worlds. My mother went to Carver and my dad went to Phoenix. So they all went back and forth on sports and all the integration between sports. But I wanted to ask you your feeling about being from the area and seeing young men either come from the Big Ten or kids you come across watching sports. You watch Aaron Brooks from Newport News, you watch Michael Vick from downtown, you watch Allen Iverson, and all these kids that are coming through the ranks, really coming up from the ground that you set, the seeds that you planted in our community, and all of these young men are coming along. How does that make you feel watching how the sport and the community has come together and watch it grown to where it is today? When you see a guy like Michael Vick and all these other great athletes come to our area.
I am highly honored, to be honest. When I was a young pup, just watching Earl Faison come out on the court, it was like, I was in awe. I was like, wow, that's a big guy. Watching T.D. Holman, left-handed quarterback, beautiful guy. Beautiful. Throw the best pass you ever want to see. I said, boy, I sure like to play for him or be on his team. Watching Benny McCray skim over the hurdles. I said, wow, man. Lonnie Humphrey. I mean, Bernard Moeller, Clifton Birdsong, looking at these guys play in the area that I lived in. And so when I started hearing about Ronald Carey, Michael Vick, AI, Lawrence Taylor, Lawrence, Du Bois Stevenson, the center. Dwight Stevenson. Then you go across the river and you hear all about Kenny Easley and all the guys on that side of the Tidewater area. I said to him, Charlie Stoops was one of my best friends over at Crestwood. I love Charlie. But the reality was time. Time is the essence. And as I told OJ, the one time that we did have a chance to talk when we were on the All-American team, I said, you know, sometimes we will never understand the impact of what we've accomplished as Black men in America. It looked as though the Heisman Trophy was an exclusive treasure given to white quarterbacks. But then, you know, when I sit down and look at Ernie Davis and what he went through, I look at Floyd Little, I start looking at the Black ball players who start now being mentioned for the Heisman Trophy. And when I started looking at those individuals in my hometown, I was the happiest guy. Whether I was in Philadelphia, Kansas City, here in West Lafayette, I said, man, that Allen Iverson he's a stud. I mean, he's not 6'9", he's not big as Magic Johnson, but this boy can get to the hole. He can reverse dunk on you. He has a complete game. Then I flip the page the next day and all I hear about is Michael Vick, number 7. I mean, this quarterback is running away from people. I said, that's the kind of players that come out of the 757. Why doesn't the people out here who do the recruiting understand? That's a landmine, that's a gold mine down there. Marcus Vick was just as, I mean, the names go on and on and on. Finally, when they opened up all these new high schools that were non-existent when I was in high school, there was so much talent. The pool got just larger and larger every day. And so to be a part of that legacy, just to be still thought about, because I looked at Michael Jordan a couple of years ago. If they hadn't done The Last Dance, a lot of people would not have seen the magnificence of Michael Jordan. Is that around the corner for me? No, being realistic. But the bottom line is, you never know how your career, your life pursuits might impact that one person in the neighborhood who has no idea how gifted they are. We had a kid on the track team at Carver by the name of Linwood Wright. He went to UTEP. I didn't know Linwood Wright could run. But Linwood Wright went down to UTEP and was one of the fastest 200-meter runners in the world. And I kept saying, he went to Carver High School. He was a classmate of mine. But he didn't come out for the track team in high school. But he went down there, he used to tell Paul and Silas Rock and Willie Hilliard, who was the 3 fastest guys at George Washington College School, he can't outrun me. But he never came out for the track team. Then he goes down there, he's almost All-American in track and field. Shocked yesterday out of me. But when I see Allen Iverson, I think that the money makes a lot of people do some of the things they do. I try to say that, my wife may not agree with me on this, but I try to say I'm trying to be as humble as I can be, because the good Lord didn't have to deposit all of this talent in my body. I mean, there wasn't a sport that I didn't like. If you told me I couldn't play ping pong, I'd go find Ronnie Hobson. And Ronnie Hobson was one of the best table tennis players, ping pong players I've ever seen in my life. And I say, man, you and me today. I love the competition. I love the challenge. Michael Jordan has it. He has it on the golf course. He has it whatever in the casino. I don't go to the casinos and drop $500,000 a night and smoke cigars this long. But the bottom line is, it's an honor. It truly is an honor to know that you came through that 757 and you don't know what person you might have impacted. I don't know if Allen's mother, father, uncle, or aunt said, Allen, you're good, but you should have seen this guy play. They were just thoughts in their parents' heart that when I have a baby, I'm hoping that he can do some things that are gifted. We never know what time of day that special one is going to come along. And as I look back at my life now, I just say to myself, it's some more out there. I thought after I saw Michael Jordan and I saw Kobe Bryant and I saw Magic and Larry and all these guys, Dr. J, and then here comes LeBron James. Then after LeBron James, here comes Zion Williamson sitting in the wings. It keeps rolling and rolling and rolling and rolling and rolling. Just like rappers, just like singers, just like musicians, just like preachers. You find that you're sitting in the wrong pew. This preacher just don't fire you up. Then you heard T.D. Jakes and you say, that's my man. But the bottom line is, we always going to go through a transition here on this planet. And I just hope that some of this talent that I perceive to see, whether it's in Chicago, Detroit, LA, Philadelphia, whatever, that these kids are given an opportunity to showcase their God-given talent, just like the Allen Iversons, the Michael Vicks, the Marcus Vicks, the Ronald Carey's, the Leroy Keyses, the Walter Bowser's, Eric McCaskill, the guys who came out of the 757 had that same opportunity to showcase their God-given talent. Because God is first and foremost in everything that we do.
That's right.
He just dropped it all down here and said, okay, because I didn't have a father at home who taught me how to play anything. It was the men in that neighborhood of mine, Floyd Hughes, Vernon Moeller, Melvin Hodge, Walter Sanders. Those were the guys who said, we're not going to let you fail Nursey. You got too much talent. And that's what it takes. When they say it takes a whole community, it takes a whole village to raise a child. They raised me. And I owe so much to a lot of those folks have gone on to transition to heaven. But as I look back at my life, I said, it was nothing that I didn't do, but he gave me the ability to do it. And they helped nurture it.
Good. Mr. Keys, also, I don't think people really understand, and as Vernon mentioned earlier, we have some younger folks, some other folks on the line, but they really don't know that in 1969, you were the #3 pick overall in the NFL draft. I mean, these are like unusual spaces to be in, right?
Well, Carl, I don't want to make excuses for the younger generation, but a lot of our kids have lost because we made life so much softer for them. If you wanted to find out something about Jim Brown, if you want to find out something about who was the first African-American player in the National Football League, you had to go to the encyclopedia or you had to go to a book. You had to open it up. Our kids today are more concerned with, when are you going to get me my phone? How can I take the shortcut to take an exam? They don't know what a protractor is. They don't know what a ruler looks like. But we, as the adults passing through, said, I want my child's life to be a little different than mine. So we acquiesced and gave them everything they wanted. Kids don't read anymore. I'm not going to say I read the big books, but I learned how to read by reading comic books. I just sat in my aunt's house and read 50 comic books every Saturday morning before I would go out and do anything. And she said, where that boy at? She said, I know he's in the bedroom reading the comic books. But I learned how to pick up certain habits. Our kids today are not habits. Our families today are a little discombobulated. In other words, they're not as solidified. It's hard raising a family when you're a single mother, you're working 2 jobs, and your kids don't respect you because you couldn't bring them home the latest iPhone that would wipe out your grocery list, wipe out your cleaning bill, wipe out your car note, wipe out anything you have. Our kids today are a little more caught up in, what have you done for me lately? That's why, as you go through Hampton and you want to understand, why are kids, who is training kids to shoot a gun in Newport News? Who? They don't have any, when I was in school, they didn't have any rifle ranges. They didn't have no places you can go and learn how to shoot a pistol. But when I pick up the paper up here in Indiana, I'm hearing that Newport News has one of the highest rate of killings. I'm going, wait a minute, this sounds like Chicago. This is Newport News.
That's right.
We only have 138, 200,000 people. They got 1 million in Chicago. But yet it scares me that our young kids are looking in the wrong pew, looking in the wrong corner. They want to be the bully instead of understanding that, hey, here today and gone tomorrow. God didn't promise you just because you were born that you were going to live forever. It doesn't work that way. But our kids believe it does. And they think that when they see somebody on TV die on Sunday, he's okay. When they die on Sunday, that is artificial. It's not real at all. Because you don't get up to say, I'm going to do this role again tomorrow morning.
That's right.
And so I just would like to see our younger kids understand that you're only as good today as you could be tomorrow. But you got to understand, you got to listen. You got to open up your ears, open up your heart and say, everybody ain't against me. That is the reason why when you say Leroy Keys to a lot of kids, say, who? I learned that the hard way because when somebody told me, I said, you know, I said Michael Jackson. They said, who is that? I said, whoa, y'all don't know who Michael Jackson is? I can't believe. I said, how about Michael Jordan? They said, Michael Jordan. I said, okay. Now, I don't want to say that Kobe will be an asterisk or a question mark in 5, 10 years, but quite naturally, a lot of these kids don't follow sports anymore. They have other outlets that they think is going to get them to be. If I'm a good rapper, I dress well. Everybody likes me because I'm a stand-up comedian. The bottom line, our kids have gotten away from sports to a certain degree because now they're saying, oh, that's the slow road to success. I want to go on the high-speed line. We did it the hard way. We could, our roads were 3 steps forward, 2 steps back. Then we finally started getting a more level playing field when they integrated the schools and they said, oh, these guys can play. They don't have to worry about integration anymore. The biggest problem they had to worry about now is staying alive. That's the biggest problem they got to worry about today. Staying alive. And if they can circumvent that quarter, the sky's the limit. But it's that piece. Black lives matter. Now the white folks are saying white lives matter also. Yes, they do. All lives matter. But the bottom line is our numbers are totally in a different stratosphere than the numbers that we see for white young men dying at the hands of policing. So I just try to tell our young folks right now, and down especially in the Tidewater area, it's not about retribution. It's not about reparation. It's about preparation. You got to prepare yourself for every day. Every day that the Lord lets you put your foot on the floor, and you say, thank you. Now you got to say, how am I going to make this day the best day I can make it without bothering somebody else enough that they think my life is not worth. I'm going to put your family in agony. I'm going to put you in agony. Why? We got to start using our brains a little more than just for a hat to be worn backwards. We got to use a belt to keep our pants up around our waist and show our manhood instead of going around showing that we slide, slick, and the wicked. Those are some of the things our kids need to understand. The man, he already got 250,000 of you incarcerated. He don't mind adding 250,000 more. Of course, now he's telling you, I got a place for you. I got 2 places for you. I got either jail or grave. We don't need either one of them. We got to grow up. America, Black youth has to grow up and understand we have work to do. We got work to do. And if we don't want to do it, they don't care. They don't care to see you fail. Or everybody can't be a success story, but you can be at least a story, because we all have a history. We all have a story to tell. And how we tell that story is going to be predicated on living long enough to tell it.
So with those themes that you described are very much what Carl and I have tried to do with the Hampton Roads Youth Foundation for the last 24 years. So it's great to hear your spirit and enthusiasm permeating and coming through and helping to reinforce some of the things that we've tried to instill in the foundation. I do want to say that there are a couple of people on Facebook that wanted to shout you out. Tommy Reeman Sr. said that you are a great role model for him, so I wanted to make sure. And Earl Holmes said you were one of the greatest athletes they ever saw and competed against.
I love them both. I love Earl. Tommy came out and told me to my face, I'm gonna break all your records. I said, hey, records are made to be broken, young man. Go for it. And when he went out to Missouri, he had a great career out of Missouri. He had a great career in the NFL. Tommy Reeman is one of the individuals I look up to, but I look up to everybody down there, because the bottom line is we all came from humble beginnings. You couldn't find nobody in Hampton or Newport News that lived in a $500, $600, $800 million house. If you go out there in Phoebus and go out there by Hampton, and you went out there, I forget that back road out there by Kickertan or out there in Phoebus, some people had them nice houses out there going to Old Buckrow Beach and Bay Shore.
Yeah.
You didn't find that in North Newport News. People in Newsom Park lived in old housing that the military built. When you came down to the East End, you were saying, man, look, they got bricks. They got 3 movies downtown, and that's it. But you can't go over to Ward Boulevard. So the bottom line is, we came from humbleness. When the shipyard finally started allowing black people to be riggers and fitters and pipe fitters and everything working in the shipyard, that's where we gravitated to. The black teachers gravitated to black. We didn't have, how many black police officers did we have back in the 60s? I can't remember one. Not one black police officer. So when Mr. Armstead went over to Newport News High, it was like, wow, they finally woke up. He had to be a great athlete to get there though. Because it was not like going to Little Rock and watching the young folks at Little Rock with half of the National Guard lining the sidewalks to keep these kids from getting beat up or getting pushed down or whatever. But Newport News, Hampton, the Tidewater area has had its moments. When you say Allen Iverson is from Tidewater area, people say, wow. But Allen had his road to hoe. That incident at Hampton with the bowling alley and stuff, ended up at Georgetown. We all have something that we don't want to remember, but if we hang around long enough, it'll come back to say, you remember the one time you did ABCDFG and you shouldn't have been at ABCDF place? We all sometimes make that. I'll never forget, I stole it. Well, I didn't steal it. I borrowed one of my classmate cars, put 5 of the guys on the football team in it with me, and we drove down to Phoenix High School. Earl Holmes may remember that. We go down to Phoenix and walking down the hallway like, this is our school, man. We got our leather jackets on. Who we walk into but Walter Lovett's brother, who's the coach at Phoenix. He looked at me and said, Keys, are you lost? And I'm looking at him like, hey, Mr. Lovett, look, we're going to take and get back out here in a minute, but you know, some young ladies down here that we want to check out. He looked at us like, are you an idiot? If y'all ain't out of this building in the next 3 minutes, I'm going to call security, and then I'm going to call Homer Hines, and I'm going to call Warren Coleman. Well, the car couldn't get us back to Carver quick enough. Because when we got back to the school, all the students come running up to car. Coach Coleman called a meeting of the football team. Coach Coleman don't call a meeting of the football team on a Wednesday. We walk into the gymnasium, all the football team was up in the bleachers. And we're going to try to sneak in and walk in and just mingle with the other guys who are already there. He said, no. All you prima donnas, y'all sit right out here on the railing. ain't flying. And then he singled us individually. Yeah, that's one of your captains right there. That's Robert Steele. That's your other captain, Leroy Keys. You know, the guys who y'all guys look up to. And they're so stupid that they want to go in somebody else's high school and everybody know who they are. Man, tell me how smart can they be? And when that happened, I'm sitting there like, Lord have mercy. Not only was I scared about what was happening there, I was scared about what was going to happen when I got home.
Oh, yeah.
My mom don't play that. You got what? You got suspended for what? Well, I took Gwen Banks' car, Mom, and went down to Phoenix High School. So you know what that means, don't you? I'm going like, oh, Lord. Coach Coleman, Mr. Hines, Mr. Lovett couldn't do anything to me. But that woman named Doris Mae Huckins, she knew how to keep this young man in line. I said, Mom, won't ever happen again. It never did.
So now we know where that trash talking 757 swag started back in the 60s. You guys had it way back then. That's been going on for decades.
That's right now. Your dad was I was clear. Your dad was a studious, I'm gonna do right guy. It was some of us who were just like, hey man, let's have some fun. we had the swag in '60. I mean, Duck Futrell, Marvin Brandon, Lionel Young, Leroy Coons, anybody in Carver High School, they all had the swag. I mean, we weren't looking to go out and fight the world, but we were looking to say, in this domain, which we call Carver High School our domain, because we wanted to go all the way to Richmond one weekend to fight everybody on the Maggie Walk football team, because they came down on a weekend. We were supposed to play them on a Friday night, but it rained so hard they canceled the game. But they came down anyhow, and they came to school and they took magic markers and wrote all on the trophy case and everything. Like no respect for George Washington Carver High. We said, wait till we go up to Maggie Walker. They ain't seen nothing yet. But that was how it was, because even when I tell people in Philadelphia, it's very seldom you see a Black kid go into the all-white neighborhood of the Northeast and snatch a pocketbook. But where we live in our own community, everybody's free game. Why? Because it's available. I don't have to go far to get it done. But if I went to the Northeast and did it, I got to either get in a fast car, get on a high-speed line, and evade the police officers for snatching their lady's pocketbook. In our neighborhood, if you do it to a person in our own neighborhood, it's almost like, I know who you are. And I'm going to talk to your mother, your dad, or somebody about it, and hopefully that resolve the situation. But we lived in some, I want to call it up and downs, wide out, close in encounters on a daily basis. We had a white person calling us names. We had a rivalry with the high school that didn't like us. We didn't like them. But we appreciated what we brought to the table when we said, you represent George Washington Carver High School. Don't do that. Hello? My phone's going on low battery here. I'm a dumb phone. But no, we had respect for our own institutions. Whether it was the Dory Miller Recreation Center, when they finally let us jump into the swimming pool, because we had no swimming pool, nowhere to go to unless you jumped into the James River. And so when Pooh Johnson was down there running the boys club, and we come down to the boys club, either you were too heavy, overweight, you couldn't play Pop Warner football. The white teams had their baseball fields over on Warwick Boulevard. We couldn't play against the white kids. So it was always, you got 18 guys together and you went out to the field behind Carver High School or Carver Elementary and you played baseball. We made our own golf course behind the school, using both the high school and the elementary field to make our own golf course for the kids who lived in my little neighborhood. So life has never been easy, but life has been grandeur. we grew up understanding that we were not privileged. We did not have a whole lot of money, resources, but we had a lot of love. We had a lot of respect. And when we had a fight or we want to have a fight, it was everybody else move back, make room and let them go at it. And when we see it lopsided, break it up. It wasn't nobody pulling no guns out. Nobody pulled out knives.
Yeah.
We weren't trying to rob the only white store in the neighborhood that your mother could get credit from, and you could go in there and recognize your face, and you could get a little nickel or 5-cent Coke and say, we'll put it on your tab for next week because we know your grandmother, you know your mother. Nowadays, it's almost like dog eat dog. And that's the sad part. And I salute you two guys, because the bottom line is, I salute you two guys, but I also salute Eric McCaskill and his program with the Virtue program down in Newport News. I salute Anderson Clary. I salute any of those guys who have stayed close to the 757 who are saying, I want to be a difference maker. I want to be a change maker. If it's anything I can say to some of these kids, whether it's coming into your program and speaking to the youth about, you don't have to give up anything. Just open your heart, open your ears, let your mind grow. Because we're not going to be here forever, but you can leave something to the group that's going to follow you that'll be here forever. And that's the key to anybody's success. My key is not out here in West Lafayette, Indiana. My sons get stopped by the police officer, and when they look at their license, say, "Oh, you're Leroy's son. Slow down, get home safely." I don't have to worry about too much because I know all the police officers. But if I came home to Newport News and I'm driving a car that got Indiana tags on it, right, and I take a zigzag and zig in down Jefferson Avenue, some cop down there ain't never heard of Leroy Keys. Who's Leroy Keys? He'll pull me over just because I'm a black man driving a car that he think I shouldn't be driving. But the bottom line is, it all falls on me. How do you want to project and present yourself to this police officer or anyone else? Because the bottom line is, fame is fleeting. You're known today, they still applaud you, but as you start going down that road of age, it's like saying, yeah, I remember he played at Purdue. Oh, he was there. That's the guy you talking. Oh, that's him over there. The bottom line is, I still speak to a lot of people out here in Indiana, but I know if I came home tomorrow morning and they had a parade down Jefferson Avenue, Marshall Avenue, Kickinton, or whatever, all the streets down there, they would say, "Who's that guy? What happened to parade for him for?" Because when you're absent, sometimes you say absent make the heart go fonder. No, it doesn't. Absent takes you out of the mindset of those who possibly need some guidance, need some direction. And that's the bottom line. All those kids down there are still saying, thank you, Mr. Francis. Thank you, Mr. Lee. Thank you for being a part of this program. Thank you for founding this organization, because I'm not getting this at home. I'm not getting this in school. I'm halfway scared to go to school. These bullies are still running around in Newport News like they're the mafia. No kids should be scared to go to school. That's something that we fought so hard to get. We owe it to these kids to let them get the most out of their life without taking a life. As simple as that. Simple as that.
Well, Mr. Keys, I tell you, I don't know how to say this, and you know how long me and you have talked for years about connecting with you, spending time with you. I've had talks with Mr. Bowser and others, and I would like to say it's an honor to finally see you and talk to you.
Well, Carl, I'm gonna do it this way. You up there with my boys. You up in the big house. I'm always telling everybody what's my boy name? I played ball with his brother. I played with the Oakland Raiders, who's head of the Player Association for many years. Gene Upshaw. I played with his brother Marvin out in Kansas City. when I see you and Troy Vincent and names like that in the NFL office, I just say thank you, Jesus. We're getting a fair shot.
Thank you.
It's not about how long it took, because it didn't have to, but it did.
Yes.
I'm glad that I got a friend that I can say works in the NFL office, because the road for us has never been an easy road. You persevered. Now you have a legacy.
Yes, sir.
I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
I'm proud of what you've accomplished, because now you have credibility when you stand up in front of any of those Black kids in Newport News, and white kids also. You have credibility. And that's the key to this thing now. Our credibility has always been questioned, but you have credibility. Mr. Lee has credibility.
Yes.
You have something that these kids need, they want, and they're gonna come to you for it when they can't get it at home. They're gonna come to you when they can't get it in the classroom. They're gonna come to you when they can't get it in the spiritual realm of their church. But the bottom line is, you guys keep doing what you do, and you keep doing it well. But my promissory note to both of you guys today, once this coronavirus and this COVID-19 dissipate, because it will too, because the good Lord tells us, I know what I'm doing.
Yes,
y'all might know what y'all do, but I know what I'm doing. When this thing has dissipated and we can start traveling again and feel free, but not suffering in the long haul, because the bottom line is, my wife told me, baby, you're 73 years young. I don't want to run the risk of you running out here catching nothing unexpectedly. But the bottom line is, I plan on coming home, because I talked to Charlie Hill. I don't know if you know Charlie. He works with the 100 Black Men, and there's guys who have contacted prostate cancer to some type of degree, one way or another. And he's been begging me to come down and speak to him, because I contacted him about 13 years ago. And he said, Leroy, you got a story to tell you guys, because the one big thing about Black men, we don't fess up the way we should to each other. We fess up about that woman I ran into last week, the one who loved me. I spent the night with her, and now I'm a sugar daddy. But when it comes to things that are monumental, things that should be put out there, not that we're gospeling, but if you got cancer, don't hide it from me. Tell me what are you going through? Because you may need a pair of ears to just listen to you.
Right.
It's okay for us to cry. It's okay for Black men to cry. Not when we're getting sentenced to jail, but when we got pains, we need to be able to talk to each other and say, man, joy cometh in the morning. Sorrow lasts but for the night, but joy cometh in the morning. That has to be our mantra. We have to let Black men know that we love you, we respect you, we care about you. Not because you're Black, because you're a man, you're a human being, and you deserve nothing but the best. We haven't been getting that, and we haven't been sharing it amongst ourselves. We need to grow out of our little men's cave and jump into the men's world and be men daily. Not sometime, daily. Let these kids know that you're not in this battle alone, because the kids you're monitoring today or mentoring today are going to be men in a very short period of time. And they're going to look back at you guys and say, thank you for being here for me. And that's the key to it. What we see behind us always look brighter when we can see it, the finished product, and say, I was glad I was there for you. AI, Michael, Marcus, all the guys who have come behind me, all I can say is, guys, I'm glad there was a me who probably gave your parents the insight to say, it was another guy there who could play just as well as you play. And that's the guy we remember, because he was a part of our history. Right. You guys are going to be part of the history moving forward. But when we look back in the 60s, that Negro was a tough cookie. Tough cookie.
Well, thank you so much tonight.
We appreciate you. We appreciate you.
We'll talk soon, Mr.
Hey, I'm gonna see you guys in person, man. This
we're looking forward to it.
I'm looking both of y'all up.
I'm calling you. We're going to connect. Let's stay connected. So when you come down, let me know. We'll make sure we're down there.
It's done.
Done.
I'll come to DC to see you.
Hey,
yeah, we love that too.
Please.
I'm gonna be in DC on the. I think I may be in there on the 28th for the protest.
Okay.
The March on Washington, August 28th,
Yeah.
March on Washington.
I'll see you there.
My daughter lives in Woodbridge, so I might just come in there 2 days early, give y'all a call, and maybe we can get together and sit down and have a Coca-Cola and talk smack.
Yes.
Yes.
We both.
I look forward.
Done.
Gentlemen, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Have a good day.
Thank you.
God,
Yes, sir.
you good.
Good night.
All
Take
right.
care.